Now there are lots of very good ideas on climate justice. So we talked about loss and damage. For example, a big typhoon hits Philippines. It's much stronger than it would be in a natural climate, but because of global warming, it's become much stronger. So who pays for the additional damage there? Plus, anytime you put restrictions on what people can do, what energy source they can use. For example, if restrictions are put on burning coal, for example, how do countries develop? So this is a very nice plot from the one of the UN agencies. It plots on the horizontal axis something called the Human Development Index, which is a combination of women's education, per capita GDP, children's access to education, their health issues and so on, and is an indication of how well a country's standard of living is, and how well anybody who wants to progress can do. So not surprisingly, on the vertical axis you have the ecological footprint per person in terms of gigahectares, which is an indication of how you use resources to grow your own per capita GDP that goes into this Human Development Index. Okay. The interesting message here is that if you look at very high human development countries in the Middle East and Central Asia, which are rich from oil income, or other countries here in EU and so on, so Belgium, Sweden, Australia, and so on, which have reasonably high HDI, Human Development Index, close to 1, which is very good standard of living, right? Which results in good health as well, and so on. But they come with much higher ecological footprint than these poor countries, which have very low Human Development Index, but they also have a very low environmental footprint. So you have to balance. All these countries became rich and achieved high standards of living by degrading the environment, using energy that is not good for the environment, exploiting coal, exploiting forests from other regions, and so on and so forth. So the question then is, how do you raise these countries also to a high HDI? Because eventually every country wants to have a good standard of living, of course, and you cannot blame them. So if you look at countries down here like Burkina Faso, Liberia, Central African Republic, which are way down here, versus Nigeria, Madagascar, and many other countries that are heading towards increasing standard of living, like India and China, Brazil as well, South Africa, and so on. They are increasing their environmental footprint as well. So can climate action somehow create a path where everybody who has a low HDI can go up to high HDI, but without increasing the environmental footprint? So this is broader than just renewable energy and so on. This is about how we produce everything without damaging the environment, right? If you look around, pretty much everything we consume, whether it's a phone or the battery or the fruits we are getting from somewhere, the food, other foods, grains, alcohol, beverages, everything gets transported around and is produced with a high environmental footprint. So is there a way that poor countries can leapfrog the methods used by the rich countries to increase their Human Development Index without increasing their environmental footprint? This is a much bigger problem. The way we do things has to kind of fundamentally change, where we constantly convert natural resources into irreversibly into junk that cannot be used again. Okay? What is good for economy, for example, every phone looks different. They all want to claim they are the best. They create power jacks that are different, so you cannot reuse them. And it was Victor Lebo in the 1950s, a retail salesman, first wrote a little paper arguing that only way to grow the economy continuously is to build things that don't last, which is what happens now, right? Phones become obsolete, computers, everything, cars, everything has to be replaced fairly routinely, and we have gotten used to it, right? So we have a very high energy intensive lifestyle by nature, and energy intensity of the GDP has to reduce this ecological footprint, and carbon intensity of the energy has to reduce as well. So this is more than global warming. This is often referred to as global change, where loss of trees, polluting of the oceans, like the plastic, for example, everything has to change. So this captures the idea very well that we want to move countries to high HDI, but without creating too much environmental damage. Not an easy task, but nonetheless maybe something we cannot run away from anymore. And still the question is how to do it justifiably, equitably, and so on, with equal access to everybody of the global commons like the ocean, atmosphere, etc.